Okay, so now I've opened up Animate Pro and I have created a blank scene file here in Animate Pro, and I want to do the same thing where I'm going to import an image in. And by default, when you select the HDTV option in Animate Pro, it does the same thing where it fits my grid in horizontally with that view. So you can see that right here when you look at your project. If I now select import image and I browse to my HD image here, which I will select from the same list as before, if I choose to vectorize this option or this image, what it's going to do, and let's just go ahead and do that here, is it's going to fit it with that drawing grid, just like it would in Storyboard Pro. So when I vectorize an image, it always will fit it with the drawing grid for the layer, that I've set. And you can double check if you look at any regular layer and you have your grid turned on, and you can see how that layer exists whenever you have a drawing tool selected. So if I select my HD TV imported layer with a drawing tool selected, I'll be able to see that grid, and I can see how the grid is actually too big here for my screen. So just like with Storyboard Pro, if I go to Scene Settings, I can switch here, but now I can switch from horizontal fit to vertical fit, and you see how just doing that is going to refit any imported vector images in here. Now, just for your common knowledge, if you choose instead to import an image, and I'll select the same image as before, but instead you choose to not vectorize that image, now you have these alignment rules. And these alignment rules are a little bit different for these bitmap images, because in the case of the alignment rules, what it's going to do is it's actually going to fit it with the camera directly instead of fitting it with your drawing grid, because you no longer have that concept of working on a drawing grid. When you import a bitmap image in, it's kind of set. So let's just take, for example, let's go back to my scene settings, and I will switch this back to horizontal fit. So I have the wrong fit for my imported image that I did before. And then I'm going to import a new image in here. I'll do the same image as I did before. In this case, I will not vectorize the image, and I'll choose fit. And I can just leave that as a composite. So you'll see now when I look at the bitmap version of this image, it fit it correctly to the screen. And that's because when you import a bitmap image in, it actually fits it to the camera directly instead of fitting it to the drawing grid. And just for your common knowledge of what these different options mean in here, fit fits it directly to your camera. What pan does is pan is going to assume that the image that you're bringing in is what we call a pan cell in traditional animation, and that means that your image is a lot wider than it is tall, because when we do in traditional animation, when we do a pan over a background, that background is going to be very wide so that you can pan across the image. And by default, when you fit a pan cell in, you'll fit the left-hand side of the image with your camera. So if you select the pan option, basically what it's going to do is it's going to select, or it's going to fit that left-hand side of your image in there. And let me just select the file again. It will fit the left-hand side of your image with the camera view in this case. So if I just uncheck that option to show you, you see what it did here was it actually fit the left-hand side of my image with the drawing or with the camera. So now if I wanted to do a pan where I actually animate the camera from the left to the right, I'm set up for the start of the pan already. And then the last option in there, if we look at our import images dialog, if I go and select the same image again, the last import option when you're doing a bitmap image is project resolution. And what project resolution does is it looks at the source image, and in this case my source image is HD 1920 by 1280, or 1080, sorry. And then what it does is it fits that with the resolution of my project. And in this case my project resolution is also HD 1920 by 1080. So when I do this project resolution option, it will fit the same exactly with my camera. What this is more useful though is if you have a background that's much larger than your camera view and you want to import the bitmap image at exactly the correct resolution to show it at pixel depth. Then you want to select project resolution. What I mean by that is, if I'm working in an HD project and I have a background that's much bigger, let's say 2 times bigger than my project, but I want to load it in at exactly the correct resolution to see it without getting any pixelation or any blurs or anything, but at its, I guess what you would say, at its maximum, resolution, then you want to import it in with project resolution. So if I had an image that was twice HD, when I chose project resolution and imported it in, it would be twice as big as my camera view. It would be pretty much like, out here. So that just means that that you can't zoom in any farther than that without getting pixelation or blurring. So it can be useful to understand what the project resolution option here means.